August morning in 2000, my older brother and I woke in the middle of the night after spending a week hiking through the bottom of Arch Canyon in southern Utah. We walked through the darkness towards the steep edge and climbed upward. We scrambled using our hands and feet toward the lip of the canyon as night turned to day. As we approached the lip, the sun crested above the horizon and basked the canyon wall. We ascended into dawn and emerged to stand at the edge and face the rising sun. At once in touch with the billions of years our Earth has been forming and the moments it takes the horizon to drop below the sun. We are part of a densely interconnected web of existence. There are things directly within our control and some things that are completely beyond our control. But most things simultaneously affect us and are affected by us. Throughout history, designers of every variety, inventor, scientist, politician, and explorer, have shaped the ways in which we interact with this interconnected web. Holyoke is a product of the first industrial revolution. A city built at the site of the Hadley Falls to harness the potential energy of the Connecticut River. Holyoke is a cultural landscape that tells the story of reshaping natural systems for human benefit. Human consciousness is shaped by the convergence of communications technologies and energy regimes. Communications technologies and energy regimes. Before civilization, oral language and hunting and gathering led to a mythological consciousness, in which animals and natural systems were worshipped because survival depended on their good fortune. The advent of handwriting and agriculture brought people together in complex societies, and as the literate few controlled the message and held decision-making power, a theologic consciousness was born, in which deities began to take human form. So pharaohs and emperors were thought to have control over weather cycles, simply because they had access to the literate scholars who kept track of the calendar. Print and electronic communications created the world's first literate workforce, which, coupled with the enormous amounts of energy stored in fossil fuels, first in coal and then in oil, spawned the Industrial Revolution. Around the world, an industrial consciousness that values productivity and promotes the individual places economic and political controls in the hands of the wealthy few. The shift towards distributed renewable energy and the internet is a dramatic paradigm shift in which everybody can generate their own energy, and content and media producers are also media consumers. The content is generated by people. It leads us towards a lateral power and a collective decision-making. The Industrial Revolution has left us with atmospheric carbon dioxide levels that are an unprecedented high. So this is the level before Industrial Revolution. We're at 392 right now. This is just one of the many natural systems that we have inadvertently and likely irreversibly altered. We have the ability to warm and cool our climate. How we live our lives determines if our great-grandchildren will grow up in New England tapping maple trees or picking grapefruits. But how will we make this decision? A distributed power system requires a broader way of thinking, a commitment to the complex and interdependent world, and an awareness of the gestalt role individuals play in the whole. In short, we need a biosphere consciousness. Given humankind's ability to dramatically affect the natural systems that support life on our planet, what is the designer's role in building empathic consciousness towards our biosphere? 160 Middle Water Street connects dancers to the earth, river, and sky. Located between the third level canal and the Connecticut River, 160 Middle Water Street rises from the industrial ruins of a factory and a warehouse that has long been burnt down. The primary site organization is from familiar to extraordinary, from inside to outside. By lifting the topography, a false horizon is created, and a shift happens halfway up the hill when suddenly the horizon shifts from 200 feet away to 2,000 feet away across the river into Chickapee. Two primary paths lead from the canal to the river. One inside wall and one outside, defined by an alley of sycamore trees. These two paths are interrupted by distractions that move laterally across the threshold from interior to exterior space. Moments of transformation and revelation occur when expectations are shifted. Heat from the sun is captured and transferred to water before being distributed through a radiant floor. Storm water is captured from the butterfly roots, channeled along structural glass gutters, dropped by exterior rain chains and stored in a reflecting pool, and then moves along a French drain and infiltrates in a planted infiltration basin. 3 journeys illustrate programming. Juan is a high school student at Dean Academy in Holyoke, who I met in October when he was fishing in the canal. He uses 160 middle water primarily as an access point to the river. He ascends through the alley, across the deck, and out towards the overlook before descending on the stairs and down the trail to find himself fishing at the shore, where he can be alone in direct contact with the enormity of the Connecticut River. Shalik is a contemporary choreographer who currently rehearses and performs at Tree Studio on Cabot Street. He uses the studio at 160 middle water because of the way the evening sun slices through the canopy, then the curtain wall, and then the sun shading system to create a dramatic effects inside the studio. Kate started Paper City Fitness and uses Zumba to build community health and commitment to a better Holyoke. A 7 a.m. Zumba class in March is interrupted when the rising sun slices through 3 carefully placed holes in the wall to illuminate the sunrise through the space. Kate pauses the class and takes everybody up to the deck, which is here, to witness the sunrise together. Rises and drops in the ground plane accompany lofted, compressed, and filtered ceilings create a progression of compression, expansion, and illumination from the familiar to the extraordinary. Overlapping orthogonal planes intersect as they step up the gently rising landform. While the wall provides a strong interior edge, the threshold between inside and out is blurred by staggering doors and ceiling planes. And the floor surface transitions from a sprung wooden floor with radiant heat, ideal for barefoot dancing, to stone pavers for large outside events, to a groomed lawn designed for walking slowly, to a dense wetland planting. With the doors open, an evening contradance spills easily from the patio into the studio and vice versa. Musicians that occupy the porch have prospect and refuge simultaneously. The transition from inside to outside is multi-layered and includes a curtain wall with structural glass mullions, sun shading devices, and hardscape, softscape distinctions. The LA begins at the railroad spur, rises, and ends at the flood wall, overlooking the second railroad spur, flank each side of this site. The deck provides a gathering place for witnessing the sunset, looking back over 160 middle water. And the overlook is narrow, designed for intimate experiences shared by 1 or 2 people. The primary interior access is a long ramp that goes from the street up towards the deck and the river overlook. The glazed rain gutter allows sun to define the experience through the ramp. But on a rainy day, it's the sound and texture of running water that transforms the journey. Carefully placed apertures provide views into the lobby, the studio, and the rising sun. most of 1/16 water is designed to be experienced over and over again because repeated experiences underscore the duality of permanence and temporality. But much the way Juan might spend most of his childhood living in the bottomlands of South Holyoke, and one day decides to ascend to the top of Mount Tom for a profoundly transforming experience, so too might he decide to descend through the path adjacent to the ramp. This path that goes up and then descends down 30 feet below grade into the depths of the earth. The meditation chamber is for solitary experience of the sun, fire, and water in their purest forms. As the earth spins, sunlight tracks through the south-facing window and slices along the wall inside the chamber, so that the space inside the chamber is illuminated and tracked as the day progresses. In this space, as the river level rises, so too does the surface of the aquifer-fed pool. The water level, the flood level of the Connecticut River determines the level of this water. In this space, most of the experience of the environment is beyond control. Open to the sky, rain and snow penetrate. During a major flood event, the entire chamber may be filled with water. On any day of the year, the ambient temperature is around 55 degrees, because it's so deep in the ground. And yet, we have power and agency in the larger interconnected web of existence. And so, too, do we have power and agency here in the meditation chamber. The hearth extends to create a meditation bench so that the process of tending the fire for a long time produces comforting warmth. The slowness of the experience allows subtle changes in light and water to transform and reveal the profound.